Hello, lovely people. So this is a Galactic Mayan Astrology report for the 31st of March 2019. And we are now moving into a new Wavespell of Red Earth. So in the past few Wavespells, we've been going through a process of the heart. We went into Blue Monkey, and Blue Monkey is really about what it is that sets our heart on fire, what it is that our inner child loves. And then we moved into a process of Yellow Seed, and Yellow Seed was a superpower Wavespell where we got to see how we can translate that into action and what it is that we're planting in the world, what new consciousness, our individual fractal of being wants to bring into the world. And now we're moving into, as I say, this energy of Red Earth. So Red Earth is really about how do we bring that into our lives? How do we translate everything that we've learned over the past month or so, everything that we've experienced over all of these times that we've been, on planet Earth and in this specific fractal particularly? How do we bring that into our bodies? How do we bring that into our daily life? How do we integrate it? So, oftentimes, for me in particular, that's what I can speak of because I am experiencing life through this particular fractal. But like how, far removed for a long time, what it is that I was wanting to be bringing in and what it is that I felt like, whoa, this is amazing and this is what I'm here for, but how separate that reality was from what was actually going on within my individual experience. And it's like over this time that I've been working in the way that I work now and, really doing the inner work, I'm going through, as we've all been going through, this 13-year process of Red Moon, which has been about the purification. So as I've been doing the cleanup mission, it's like the space between the dreamed reality of, wow, that feels incredible and I really want to bring that in, and the actual experience of what's going on. It's like the gap has been getting smaller. So it's now like, whoa, it's being lived, that dream and that experience and that purity of vision that's uncorrupted is becoming more and more the lived experience. And that's really what Red Earth is about. It's about closing the gap. So we get to really see during this Wavespell, okay, what is it that prevents us from being here in this body? And, a lot of the time, this is where escape mechanisms and different coping mechanisms, escape behaviors really come into play, because when we feel disconnected from this is what it feels like I want to be living and where I should be living, letting go of the shoulds, but that taste of, wow, that's the potential of what this life could be. When we're not able to live that, it's a very painful experience, and we therefore then have to take in lots of things to support us to forget the pain of what it is to not be living what we want to be living and in the space that we want to be living. So it's really about grounding, and grounding doesn't necessarily mean, in the traditional sense, grounding is, for me, grounding that dream into reality. It's about bringing whatever it is that our individual spark of consciousness really sees and feels and bringing that into the lived world. So this Wavespell, there may be experiences of real integration because it's been full power, the past month or two. We've gone through 2 13-day Wavespells that have each had 10 portal days in, and these Wavespell experiences are full on. They're really intense. There's like a lot of energy, and at the moment, like, I've got a bit of a cold thing going on because it's been exhausting in an amazing expansive way, but exhausting. So my body is now coming back into balance. So yeah, during this Red Earth Wavespell, we can really feel the integration of that intense period of time where we go into and back out of the heart, as in we see what inside us, what our heart is wanting to bring, and when we see on the outside reality what the heart is bringing in, so we get to really see and experience that. So Red Earth is the time where all of that dust settles. It's like everything gets reprogrammed. But equally, it can be the time where we see, okay, so I'm struggling. I'm struggling to bring this balance. I'm struggling to find that space where, to cope with where I'm at. And it's really this process, because we've been so conditioned into competition. We've been so conditioned into comparing one another's experiences and thinking that that is the ultimate human experience, and that is what we therefore need to be experiencing. We've had all of this programming from the word go, especially if we've been in the schooling system, that we have to have this same experience as what's going on with people around us. So if we are not feeling imbalanced, if we are feeling like we are still struggling, part of the thing that makes that more difficult is seeing other people that are not necessarily in that space. So we can experience feelings of jealousy, we can experience additional challenges on top of where we're at, and the challenge with that, because we're then looking around at everybody else. So this red earth Wavespell is really a time for internal space, and going out into nature is an incredible way to do that, coming back into, as opposed to the distorted human being perception that we have, this glorified me, I, go thing. When we're in nature, we really get to settle into that space where we are at one, as in there's no competition. You're not competing with the trees and the plants. You're just with them. And that can be a really beautiful moment of solitude, to allow ourselves to realize and understand how far we have come on our own personal journey. Not in comparison to the people around us, not in comparison to the world, our own journey. And when we're around consciousness that doesn't manifest in the same way as human consciousness, around plants and the plant kingdom, we're then given a greater opportunity to be able to really sit with that and feel that, and allow ourselves to really integrate, the challenge and the expansion of what has been going on for us recently. So I really recommend that you go and spend time in nature, that you go and give yourself space to just breathe and to be and to really witness, where you're at. Because at this time in humanity, at this time in the 3 generations that are alive now, humanity, the 3, 4, I guess now we're coming into the 4th, when we really get to see that space and allow ourselves to reflect on that, we're at a very, very interesting time on the planet. We're coming out of this huge purification process, and we're flipping into another time. There's a whole new paradigm that is being born now. And yes, there's all the doom and gloom, but at the same time, there's all the beautiful opportunity that's coming through the crisis. And really the thing to focus on and to feel is where we are individually at. And oftentimes when we look out at the world, and again, we're coming at it from this like competition, judgment, comparison perspective, which means that we don't get to actually anchor in that energy that is our own to the grid and really give that love. Because more than anything, that is what the planet needs. It needs us to be in a space where we're in love, where we're in that space of like relaxation, and we're not in the fight or fight response. And oftentimes when we're looking out at the world stage and we're witnessing what's going on, we are in fight or flight. So that us as our individual consciousness anchored into the grid of the planet, that's what we're feeding. So regardless of what we think that we're doing in this human being sense of action, what is our state? What is our energy presentation? What are we actually feeling? Because what we are feeling is what our impact on this planet is. It's not on one level about what we're doing, which is a really interesting thing to witness. Our action doesn't matter if what we're feeding into the grid is fear. So it's really this time of, within this process, this Wavespell process, of really feeling, where am I at? Where am I at? What am I feeling? Okay. and how can I allow myself to settle? What do I need to put in place to make sure that I'm not in fight or flight? What do I need? What do I personally need to be able to grid in and to ground my energy in a way that is loving? And, you know, with this couple of month process that we've been through throughout the wave spells, I've really seen, okay, so I've had the taste of what my heart really wants to bring forward, and I've seen how I can bring that into action, and I can sense what's there. So how do I match up with that? How do I give myself permission to settle enough and ground enough into being a human? Because this is another element, you know, of yellow human and red earth to me are very similar, even though one is a more like, you know, the red is the initiation, the activation, the beginning, and yellow is about the flowering and the manifestation. Both of these energies really, for me, are like, how do we do this human being thing? Because there's a part of all of us that remembers and that knows, you know, who we are in essence. And, you know, because we're part of this one consciousness, you know, we can really grid into that space. And when we're in that, it can then make it very difficult to be experiencing this individual consciousness experience, this individual body, this separation experience. So it's like, how can we make peace with that? How can we bring that oneness and that unconditional love into this body, and therefore be offering that to the planet? So I hope that you have a wonderful experience. I am completing a really amazing activation time of, you know, I'm doing a thesis at the moment looking at alternative education, looking at democratic and self-led learning. And it's been absolutely magical. I spent 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the US looking at these incredible models and witnessing, you know, what it is that I felt in my heart in action. And it's been really interesting because it's my birthday today, so I'm going into personally my, you know, my 13th completion year of a 13-year process of Yellow Warrior. And I'm really just in that space of witnessing and seeing, like, whoa, I can see where I'm at and where I'm going. And, you know, my spirituality and my understanding and my experience personally, that, you know, it was always a very internal thing, and it's become very external with the kind of work that I do, you know, with astrology and doing readings for people, and I can feel it really coming back in now slowly, and that my focus is going to be shifting more into, you know, children and education. It's been brewing, and I can really feel that that is, you know, where my energy needs to be focused now. So it's just a really, personally, a really interesting time. And I'm really looking forward to this Red Earth wave spell of being able to integrate, you know, this incredible experience of the past few wave spells, because, you know, we're all experiencing it together. And that's the really beautiful thing that, you know, I really honor about, you know, this time system that's been worked out or witnessed or recorded or channeled, you know, of Galactic Mayan astrology, and being able to really see the waves. It's like the flavor of the waves that are coming, and being able to therefore like sit and witness in a way that is kind of, it's like the framework of the wave spell. Once you understand the framework of the wave spell and you've seen what's going on through that, it's just juicy, you know, it's juicy and it's expansive and it's amazing. Yeah. So I hope that you have a wonderful and grounding wave spell, and I'm sending you loads of love, and I look forward to catching up with you all next wave spell.